stiff. "Raghu, I'm leaving. Coming." He leaps down the stairs, taking them two at a time. Haridas is standing in the evening sun, straining to look at him come out the door. "Yes, Dada." "You know what to do. Lock the door at night, okay? Don't forget. And if Russell comes in even a minute late tomorrow, give him a couple of whacks." Raghu sniggers. "I will be back tomorrow evening. You take care, boy. Keep an eye on the place." "Don't worry about it," he weaves as the man walk across the road, away from this home and towards that which now seems so far removed from Raghu. "I will tell your mother you said hello," the man yells from afar. "Thank you, Dada." He smiles, waving at Haridas, the man he owes everything to. He walks back in, through the mostly empty tables, through another small door, and into the kitchen at the back, where he is greeted with the sound of the exhaust fan whirring against the strains from an old Bollywood song, seeking dominance over it. A young boy in a dirty brown vest is blocking his view to what's cooking on the stove. "What are you making, Russell?" "Oh, you scared me. Has Dada left?" "Yes. What are you making?" "Naan. You want some? Come, make some." "Always the rascal." Raghu shakes his head. "Serve all the customers, then we will see. Don't stretch it. We will have some time before the moon comes out." "Yes, boss." Russell salutes. Russell, who is Rehan's elder brother, has been working for Dada ever since he had inaugurated the dhaba. It would be incomplete without him. Russell continues with his work alongside his singing, while Raghu sits down at the top of the stairs and rests his head against the wall. He has so often wondered what it would be like if he were to tag along with Dada sometime on his trips to Nimkheri. He wonders if Baba will be happy to see him. He wonders if things could ever go back to the way they were. It had been exactly 3 years that he had left home. He had known Dada as Haridas back then. Dada had unquestioningly taken him in, provided him with all that he had needed. A roof, food, clothes, even a job. Raghu now washes the dishes at the dhaba for rupees 120, although he knows that's just a formality. Dada has even been helping pay his school fees. On top of that jolting bus, while trying to keep his hold steady on the iron rails, Raghu had realized something. It had just clicked, fallen into place. He had remembered what his headmaster had said about lotuses. He had remembered the neat wooden boards put up in every classroom back in school. Education is power. Power. That's what he would need to be able to look his father in the eye again. He remembers the surprise on Dada's face when he had told him he would be enrolling himself in a school. "I don't understand you, Raghu. I mean, good, it's great, but I don't understand you," he had said, smiling and shaking his head. Raghu knows that he can never repay Dada's debts. "Oi!" "Huh?" Raghu looks up. Russell is holding 2 cups of tea and looking down at him. "You brought me tea. See, I am not such a rascal after all," Russell grins. They sit 2 steps apart, sipping silently. Dada has gone to the village after a very long time. Russell tries to start a conversation. "I wonder what news he will bring this time around." "I don't see how it matters really." Sip, sip, sip. "It was today, wasn't it?" asked Russell. "Yes." "What does it feel like? I never could bring myself to ask you, but what does it feel like?" "It's fine. I guess I deserved it." "You know you don't mean it." "I know I do." "Anybody there?" a voice calls out from somewhere below. "Well, I guess the moon is out." Raghu clears his throat, springing to his feet and thump, hitting his head on the ceiling. "Oh, ouch! That must have hurt." "Your life is a mess, isn't it?" sniggers Russell. "Like I said, always the rascal." 24 hours later, Raghu finds himself sitting on the floor with his head between his knees, trying to block everything out. He feels Haridas pat his head on the back and walk away silently, leaving him with his thoughts. He imagines Ma back at home, lying on the cot with her eyes closed. Just lying there, the skin under her droopy eyes would have darkened even more. Her sleep, earlier disturbed, would have by now been driven away completely by blood-spewing cuffs. His father had sold everything he could have, including their land. Haridas had told Raghu to collect money for her treatment. Raghu imagines Baba sitting close beside her or pacing up and down the room, tense, trying to think of something that can make her better, something he hasn't already thought of, his mind as empty as the house he is in. Ma is sick. She has never been this sick before. Baba can do nothing more. There is no one else he can approach, nowhere he can go. All anyone can do now is wait. Neither Haridas nor Rasul come to check on him or to ask if he wants dinner. They know better than to disturb this solitude, and he's grateful. Raghu has never known anybody quiet like his ma. She had been a good mother, of course, but he had also found in her a fierce friend. Besides him and Kavita, she was about the only other person who truly knew what it was like to fall prey to Baba's outbreaks. All those years they had spent saving each other's necks from the guillotine of his cusses, thinking of ways to rescue each other from his blashes. All those years together in arms and here they are now kilometers apart, defeated after all those years of perseverance. He gets up and lets himself drop down on his bed. He doesn't think it fair of the universe to make a person so lovely fall this sick. His longing for her sweet kisses, her warm caresses has never been so strong. All he wants to do is run into her arms and stay there forever. He misses her so much, it physically hurts. He is sweating, but he covers his head with the sheet anyway. He hasn't felt this low since his grandmother passed away the previous year. He imagines a parallel world, one where everything is exactly as it should be, exactly like it isn't in this one. Ma comes into the room, fit as a fiddle, and serves Baba tea and biscuits. She then sits down on the ground too, and the three of them have a nice, hearty conversation. They talk about how it would be great if Kavita could be with them that moment, and although she can't hear much, Dadi pitches in too. Baba asks Raghu how his day has been because he actually cares. Raghu tells him how he did wonderfully at a test in his school and Baba pats him on the back. Baba loves the tea and makes it a point to tell Ma that. He imagines his parents exchanging smiles between the sentences, conveying unsaid things. Baba cracks a joke and the happy little family laughs till their stomachs ache. Raghu giggles. Oh, what glorious day they could have had. All the could-haves and should-haves are killing him. He would give the world to live that life. He has no idea how late into the night it is, or if it's late at all. He stretches his memory as if to remember a bloody dream, right back to the time Baba used to sit him on his shoulders and walk around the village. A dream, that's what it seems like now. Raghu used to wave at everyone, teasing them about how short they were. Mischief had been a good friend back then. I guess it's all right when you are a kid, he thinks. He is reminded of his friends then, how naive they had all been. He hopes, not for the first time, that at least the drama that his life is has taught them to mend their ways. It sure did teach him. Raghu doesn't feel like the going to school the next day. It's not a question of sincerity. He just knows he won't be able to pay attention. And the people? There isn't anything particularly wrong with them. They are all just quite dull. The fact that he had been thrown out of his house and now works at a dhaba is too much for their punny little minds to comprehend, because all they ever do is point at him and talk in whispers like he is some sort of a museum exhibit. He is sure he will have red eyes the next morning, which he knows will just make matters worse. Funny how it has to be this way when he has finally trying to change. He remembers what Rasul had said the previous day. Your life is a mess, isn't it? If it is, so be it. How much worse can it get? Brrr, from his brain to the world. Everything's vibrating. He sees the sun dipping behind the hills. It's been a while since he has seen it do that. Even though it's hard to open his eyes against the wind, he sees lights in the distance from his window, lights he has come to fear, but lights he has been dreaming of every night nonetheless. But these aren't the circumstances he had planned to see them again in. Ansh's hand rests on Raghu's shoulder and a resigned smile finds its way to his haggard face. His partner in crime has changed so much, it's almost disturbing. He turns back to see Rehan staring blankly at the seat in front of him. Just having them around in such a time is comforting, and Raghu is grateful for their presence. It's nice of them to have come all the way to fetch him. They are getting closer and closer, hot. Palak is waiting under the gulmohar tree. They all walk to his house in silence. What a long, long walk it is, like a pilgrimage, except that there is nothing holy about it. It's far from any sort of piety, but there is peace. Yes, peace that follows wreckage. There she is, lying on the cot, his ma. Just like he remembers, but not quite the same. He has cried over this woman for more nights that he can remember. Raghu? He hears Baba whisper. She has become a little old. Faint wrinkles have encroached on her beautiful face. She looks tired, though he doesn't quite remember exhaustion ever being reflected on her face. She is wearing her favorite sari, blue with multicolored flowers. She seems stiff, almost like she is uncomfortable with all those eyes on her. He still can't believe that she's right there in front of him. After so many nights of longing to be in her embrace, he can finally touch her, but he can't seem to be able to move. Without warning, tears trace a path down his cheeks. He is surprised he still has some to spare. She has taken up too big a chunk of his sorrow, too big a piece of his heart. It's unfair. And yet he cries. He cries because he has lost her. He cries because he couldn't be there for her, not even with her. He cries because he never got a chance to say goodbye, because he had been forced to miss her even before she was gone. Gone. That's what she is now. This is what reality is going to be like from now. Him minus her. He cries because he simply doesn't know what else to do. He sees his little boy, almost a man now, on his knees, weeping, clutching her hand. Something crumples inside him, and Shiva doesn't know what to do with the emptiness he feels inside. The knowledge that he has more than contributed to his son's anguish fills him with self-loathing. A deep-rooted revulsion for his own self clutches him, numbing his senses but amplifying the pain. He has blood on his hands. Yashoda was doing fine when Raghu was home. It was only later that things started to go downhill. He had separated a sick mother from her son. What had he done? This scene triggers more wails from the village women. Kavita breaks down all over again. All he wants to do is hold his son in his arms, but he knows their relationship is not as simple as that. "Goodbye, Ma," he hears Raghu say as he gets up on his feet, walking right past Shiva into his sister's embrace. Oh, hell. He takes a step towards Raghu when he hears a voice. "It's time, Shiva." Sitaram looks at him and nods. The procession. As he lifts his wife's limp body, he understands the true depth of his loss. As he lays her down on the last bed she will ever know, a wooden platform built to carry her, he realizes what she had meant to him, to all of them. As he walks with the body on his shoulders, held by 3 other men, the village following close behind, he for the first time appreciates the true burden life will be without her. As they set her down on the logs, the full blow of his loss hits him. And as the malicious flames lick hungrily as her skin against the starless night, at her skin against the starless night, the little fortitude he has left in him withers away, and he succumbs inconsolably to the devastation. Raghu is leaning against the trunk, talking to Kavita, squinting against the early morning rays. He has grown taller, more confident. He is sobered up, undoubtedly, but he looks like he has been frowning too much. Shiva has never seen that expression on his son's face before, except when he was to blame. This can be undone. You just have to ask. He knows Raghu's peripheral vision has detected him coming. He also knows he is trying hard not to look at him directly, and he does a good job of it too. Except for one little slip. Shiva can sense Raghu becoming edgy as he gets closer, can almost see every inch of his son screaming at him to stay away. Raghu is only just pretending to be listening to what Kavita is saying. Shiva knows all his attention is really on him. But when he stands beside him, Raghu's nerves dissipate. He draws on some inner reserve, straightens up, looks at Shiva and acknowledges him. Baba, the word takes him by surprise. Raghu? Kavita just stands there. Where are you going this early? Shiva asks. Back to Bhimpur. I can't afford to stay away from work much longer. I see. No reply. So how is it going with you? Just ask, Shiva. Things are quite all right. Good. After 3 years of neither hearing from nor seeing each other, this is what they do. They make small talk. Shiva doesn't even realize when the bus arrives. I must leave now, says Raghu. He hadn't bothered bringing any luggage along. Take care, Kavita. Look after yourself. He pats her lightly on the cheek and take care of the girls. Ask now. Baba? He nods, boarding the bus. Shiva tries to see which seat his son sits on. He had always liked the window once. Sure enough, it is a window seat. In no time, the bus starts again and Raghu waves at them. You should have asked, you know, Kavita says, watching as the bus disappears into a trail of dust. Huh? You should have asked him to stay. His mouth is dry. He struggles to tell Kavita that he tried to tell his son to stay and that he was sorry, but he just couldn't. It is as if his mouth is filled with sand. He wouldn't have. He manages, as father and daughter stand looking at the receding bus. Now just a speck in the distance, the Gulmohar tree stands above them, old and shriveling.